Wouldn't believe it, but I believe in karma.
Yes.
I also believe that the more you give out, the more you receive back. Now, it's a hard concept to a lot of people, but you don't need to necessarily have the dollar.
Yeah.
But it's more about the richness of life, or the people you meet is maybe more rewarding than any dollar can do.
This podcast is proudly supported by the Ōtara Network Action Committee, ONAC, community-owned, community-driven and community-led.
Hi, I'm David Horrocks. I've been invited today by Danielle. I'm also in a part of the team with Aura and Vincent, thank you, Vinny, in the background looking after the audio and cameras and stuff. And I've been invited to say hello, a few words about me, what I can do, and see if there's somewhere upon the line that I can either help and or if I can inspire other people to do greatness, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in today.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to have you here in our little humble abode.
More than welcome.
So I did meet you at the CompTIA meeting. There was a lot of people there. It was amazing. It was awesome. And so Danielle Tour, for those of you who don't know or haven't watched previous podcasts, have a look through our Accelerating Aotearoa page and you can follow up some of the work and conversations we've had here with a range of people in different positions and it's with a range of people. Cool. So thanks, David, for coming in again. We'll just talk about what you do out in your community or even here in Ōtara, South Auckland, East Auckland, and then we'll roll from there. North Shore. Yeah.
That's okay. So besides enjoying delightful soup that was offered to me as soon as I walked in the door here, which is yum, by the way, I like to have fun. And breaking down my fun is the IT world. I'm a DIYer. I enjoy making things, usually with wood, because I usually see a piece of wood and think, oh, that'd be a good table. Versus, but in the IT world, for actually earning me more dollars than doing my craft, it's a huge industry and it's enjoyable and there's so many facets of it. A lot of people say, how do you keep up, David? I just go online and learn, be it Microsoft Learn, community groups. But also I do enjoy other groups like CompTIA where we met. I also go to a few meetup groups. I've been to 3 this week. They all seem to all happen on the same week, which is strange. But I enjoy it. And it's a good way of keeping your social skills alive, I guess. Keeping you in check, making sure you're on the right path, but also helping others. And I think giving back to the community is maybe more rewarding than most people really think, because I used to teach, I still teach, but I used to teach a lot about computers, and it's those light bulb moments, that glint in the eye, that little smile, especially when somebody's nervous when you're talking to them or you're giving something. But there's always 2 sides to the story. There's actually the giving part and the receiving part. And a lot of people sometimes find it humbling to receive, but that's okay. We're all on the same journey, the same path. We're all pink on the inside. Who cares where you come from? And some are lucky, like myself, to survived, and now I actually have a gold card. Whereas others, they do struggle, but that's okay. There's always something around. Just got to ask. That's all it is.
Yeah. And here in our community, there's always, even in all communities, there's always somebody that's struggling, and it is hard to ask. So that's why we try and keep this space open. And, the more people come in, the more people know about us, and the more people know where to come and ask for help. So you're talking about being a teacher, IT teacher. Was that at a school locally?
No, it was an IT in a training establishment for computers. So it was a company called New Horizons, was my first, I guess, official business one. I actually taught a lot of people. See, it all started many moons ago when I left the Navy. I'd served the Navy 21.5 years. And after I left, what am I going to do? But I looked at a few things. Oh, I'm pretty good with my hands. Maybe I'll just make some furniture, which I still do today. But the fun part, though, was when my wife came back from Canada, she goes, oh, you got to look at this. We've got these stamping things, and you can stamp out cards, and you can, you can get these stamps, and you can make your own stamps and everything else. I thought, how do you do that? So, of course, back in the day, no internet. So I went to the library and looked how you made stamps. And it was becoming quite apparent I needed a computer. So I bought a computer eventually. Cost me the earth, $2,500 for a 386 DX40, 4 megabyte and 100 megabyte hard drive. One would laugh at that now, but at the time it was sufficient. And I learned how to do graphics. I locked myself away for 3 months, taught myself, read all the books. Took forever, but people started saying when I went to a couple of other community groups, David, you know about computers, can you teach me? One thing led to another, and next thing I know, I have a little business going. I bought a laptop, and I would walk around with my laptop, a monitor, keyboard and mouse, and they would have the keyboard and mouse and the monitor, and I would have the laptop, and I would teach them face-to-face, one-to-one, and it was fun. But of course, I realised that I had a gift in communication, and I seemed to have a foresight of what was going to happen, what they're thinking or what they're doing. So I decided to apply for a role for a computer place called New Horizons. I got the job. Within a week I was teaching, but I was a contractor. And back in the day that was kind of unheard of, really. Contractors were usually doing on the big fancy stuff. But for me, once I learned, though, how to get an end solution versus how to click buttons, in other words, what's the end result of what they're trying to achieve? So they need a document, or did they need a logo on a website? Oh, they need a website. Cool. How do you make the website? How do you put it all together? Why do you do things a certain way along the way? And condense maybe a week's training into sort of 3 hours. And so you give that technical skills. Obviously, back in the day, we would have paper, but now, of course, it's all done online. But once you got the concept and the idea, depending on if they're a quick learner, slow learner, if they learn by tactile, if they learn by brain, everybody's different. Once you understand all that and put it all together, suddenly you're very powerful. And I, for about 5 or 6 years, I was rolling in the money. But then a friend said, David, look, you've got a brain. Come and let's go and sell real estate. Okay. And I did that for about 4 years, did exceptionally well, had fun. And because I was tech savvy, I could use my phone, I could search on my phone who were the best buyers for this property, and I'd be giving them a call within a minute of looking at a property. And people say, how do you do that, David? Oh, I've got a database. Oh, what's that? And one thing led to another, and I would start teaching them how to do it, as well as doing my real estate. But real estate was more fun because you're meeting people and you're trying to meet their needs. And it was exactly the same with computer training with real estate.
Yeah, helping to
finding and understanding their needs and providing what they want. And it's those skills, I guess, I've been doing pretty much for the last 20 years. And I'm a Microsoft partner. And that has enabled me to extend within the Microsoft world, keep up with the latest and greatest bits and pieces, the apps, but also be in a community of like-minded people. Hence why when we met at CompTIA, for example, CompTIA is a great organisation worldwide, and because of that is how we met.
Yeah.
But of course, there's also lots of meetup groups out there. There's lots of things to do. New people are joining the meetup groups all the time, and there's thousands out there. But ordinarily, it's about 30 or so IT meetup groups if you were looking down the IT path.
Yeah. Well, after coming to that meeting, I think, why not? Why not take a course on IT and learn? Because that's the new world we're living in today.
And if you are fortunate to have access to the internet and have a computer to do such, then the world is your oyster. There's so much out there. Just do a search on free, or go to, if you want a Microsoft product, for example, go to Microsoft Learn. mslearn.com, I think it is, or mslearn.microsoft.com. I just got the links. Forgive me for not knowing. But there's also AWS out there for Amazon. There's also things for Adobe products, or there's people, hey, I want to make a document. What do I do? What do I use? And there's lots of free stuff out there. So there's lots of learning to do, which apparently you've got a course coming up next week for a holiday program, which I think is awesome.
Yes. So on Monday, I believe. So we do a holiday program here. It's all free for the community. And yeah, it's all ages. The babies, if you can bring your babies, but you got to come and give a hand, because this is all volunteer based. So whoever comes in is who we get. There's a holiday program. They do computer work, or they just have a play in the computers, just getting them. Some kids can't afford computers at home, like you said, and internet. So just even them having other peers here to teach them how to use some things, because it's older age groups. I think it's a cool experience. So not only do they do the computers, it's more their downtime. They learn some Māori songs, so teaching them about whakawhanaungatanga, which is getting to know each other. And then we keep the relationship within the children by inviting them back every year. It's all run from sponsors, and so one of our biggest sponsors is Kiwi Harvest, so they get free lunch here. Kiwi Harvest. Okay. So they do, they collect food that's going to waste from bigger companies, and then they pass it out to...
They did a thing on TV.
Yeah, that would be them. So we get most of our things...
I hate wasted food. It's like, and no disrespect to the meetup groups, but often they over-order on the pizzas. And, there's like 3 or 4 pizzas. In fact, there was one group I went to about 2 years ago, and I couldn't believe it. They ordered 20 pizzas, and only 10 people showed up. And they had all these pizzas left over. I thought, that's all right. I know exactly where to go. At least I think I do. I went up and down Queen Street trying to search out some homeless people. Man, was the one night nobody was around. And I finally found somebody up on K Road that was just making us night shelter. I says, you got any mates? He says, yeah, I've got a few coming up. He says, fantastic. You hungry? Here. And so I gave them about 10 pizzas or something. Oh my God. It says, go and call your mates. Yeah.
Cool. And we need more people like that in the world, because it's just easier to throw it in the rubbish, right? Yeah. Rather than wasting a day, an hour.
I would rather myself take it home, put it in the freezer versus, I hate waste, I really do, because there's no need for it.
Yes, that's right. There's a lot of, and that's what they do. Food rescue is what Kiwi Harvest does. Yeah. So we run that. They do a bit of planting down here, so they restore do riparian planting.
Oh, cool.
The kids have all gotten into there. We can take a walk later, pick up rubbish along the creek. So teaching them about environmental things also. Veggie gardens, so growing their own veggies. So they're busy all the time. And that's what we want, is our kids to have somewhere to go where they can still continue learning, especially in the school holidays. And some of these things they don't learn at school.
And if they're here, they're not up to mischief.
That's right.
And if they're here also, they're not only not up, forgive me for saying it, but not up to mischief, but they're up to doing good. Yeah. I should share this with mum and dad, or I should share this with my other whānau that are not here. So
yeah, that's the end goal. And sometimes our parents of the children, they've been through things, but they listen to their kids. So when their kids come home with a new idea, they're like, oh, my kids are so smart. And so they're we're all learning, still learning every day, and it's good, as we should. So there's always room to learn.
I learn something every day, trust me.
Yeah.
And this is real grey hair.
So I did mention you were talking about hear you mention we were talking about the Navy. What made you get into the Navy, and was this straight after school when you were young?
Yeah, it was straight after school. At the end of the day, my dad was in the army, so I think, I'll join the army, because, back in those days, 60s, show my age, one would do what your dad did. So, and my mum was a secretary, so I figured, maybe not. That sounds, and she used to take shorthand. But then locally, though, we're in Devonport, so what better thing to do? I'll have a look at Navy. So I went along for the interview, did the tests, well, made an appointment, they had a recruiting day, did all the tests, and they went, oh, great. You'll definitely be in electronics or mechanics, something or other. You obviously have a mechanical brain and you're good with your hands. So we'll put you through on this course. Unbeknown to me what the hell was going on. We were kind of like shuffled, and when the day came, yeah, you're going to be in this and this is what you're going to do now. Here's your uniform, and they fed and clothed you for 3, 6, up to, it actually almost lasted a year. And it was great. And then I went overseas and did lots of things. Even, went to almost every island group I could think of in the Pacific. It was awesome. Also, was travelled all around Australia and all up and down around Asia, or up and all around New Zealand. So if you ever think of, getting paid for visiting countries, Navy's not a bad thing to do.
Well, yeah, free clothes.
Free food, even get paid. Give you bed coupons.
Well, that's better than hanging out in the streets, so...
Way better.
To all you young men out there in the streets, and you young women, because women can join the Navy, there's somewhere positive, free clothes, better than, I know sometimes back in my day, from the 60s, some of my siblings, I didn't have parents growing up, so they'd be like, well, there's free bed in prison, free square meals, and a free gym, but there's also that in the Navy, you fellas, so you don't need to be locked in a room 24/7.
Have a total
2 hours out.
Go ashore and have fun.
Also, I wish I'd known that. I would have let them know.
But that also, that put me into a role of systems and process, because the role I did was a mechanic, look after guns and guided missiles, torpedoes. Oh, wow. And so that was fun to a point. Although, if I ever faced war, I don't know if I could ever actually shoot anybody directly. But that being said, though, I decided that it's okay, but what happens when I leave? What skills can I really use? And even though I'd had the planning skills and understanding and management skills, because I was a petty officer, once I realised, maybe I should change to a canteen manager. So I turned a canteen manager and looked after a sweet shop on board. When it's locally in New Zealand, but overseas, it becomes basically a duty-free shop. And so I would go out and buy lots of TVs and, back in the day, video recorders and trampolines and tyres and booze and all sorts of stuff. And so I was a duty-free agent for that, as well as still look after the sweet shop on board, making sure it's got lots of ice creams, drinks, etc., soaps, underarms, you name it, whatever you get in your corner dairy almost. But that taught me a lot about finance and also about how to run a budget, how to actually look after your money, understanding different currencies. And I started to use sort of a computer. I actually had a typewriter that you could program and do stuff, but it didn't quite gel with me. But there was one thing, though, that really got me was I'd have to wait forever to get the currency converter, because a writer would put it into a calculator, work out what the calculation was and write it down. And I thought, there's got to be an easy way. Hey, you guys have got computers. Can you do this on a computer? I don't know. We've never tried it. Well, let's have a read of the book and see what we can do. So I started reading about BASIC and understood that if you did certain lines of code and you added and subtracted and you made it multiply out, that you could create tables and print them out. I thought, this is it. So I was able to, on BASIC, write a currency converter, which is a simple app. In a modern day process, you do it on your, you can do it on your phone. But back in the day, you had to write out, I think it was about 120 lines of code to actually make it work. And the supply officer went, yay, that's really cool. Does it really work though? Try anything. And oh my God, it's so accurate. In fact, it's better than what we did. So that taught me that if you can do that, chances are you can do many other things with a computer. So I kept that on the back burner, and after I left the Navy, that kind of was still there, that thirst, I guess, for understanding about computers. And so I pursued it more so. Not only did I do the graphics when I did my computer, but also the fact of teaching others and having fun with it. I still have fun with it today, and I still make my own apps. I do apps completely different now. You can do it all online. You can make all sorts of apps, do anything you like through either Power Apps or, coding classes. There's lots of coding classes out there for free.
Yeah.
And I've taken a few just recently on JavaScript and something else. So.
Wow. So you came from humble beginnings using a computer 386D X40?
DX40, yeah.
Yeah. 4 megabytes, 100 megabytes.
Now I have although it's old, about 7 years old now, I have an Asus Republic of Games laptop that's super duper fast, 24 gigs of RAM and 2 terabyte hard drive.
Wow.
i7 something or other CPU, super fast, 17-inch touchscreen. Because I don't know about you, but can you ever imagine having a phone that wasn't touch? They used to have.
Yeah.
And then Windows came along and they gave you a touch screen. Some of them even had a pen. And people thought, why do you need a pen for? Guess what? Samsung make them now, and everybody's got those fancy note things that you have a pen. I mean, like...
Yeah, well, sometimes I'm running around like this morning for my pen and paper. Well, had I had a Samsung, shout out to iPhones.
So for me to actually have even a computer screen that's not touch, because if you're always doing this or if you're always doing that, you're going to be haunched up. Whereas if you're touching and you've got movement, you're going to be more relaxed and you're not going to get that crank neck.
I didn't think of that.
Piece of advice.
I know sometimes I used to play games on my phone, so I would be shooting on my phone. Like, ding, 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 ding,
Or
ding.
you play
And the next one I'm like,
anybody
why is my
ever seen
shoulder
a game of Kong or the original Pac-Mans that were like this?
yes. Then they've got PSPs out. I think it's
Now,
PSP,
yeah.
portable PlayStations, and yeah, it's the same.
And then share it with somebody else and play the game over. Yeah.
Wow. How the times have changed, eh?
I mean, here I have a watch now that's attached to me that tells me exactly and up to a minute what my heart rate is. So as you get older, you get a bit more worried about that.
Yeah.
But it also tells me the time and tells me how much I slept and how many times I got up last night and all sorts of
Cool. It's like a portable Warren of fitness check on you all the time. Saves paying the doctors to do it, eh? Because it's quite expensive.
Well, for the average person, that's a couple of doctor's bills and pay for the watch. So
Yeah, yes, yeah, $27 I think was the last time when I seen a doctor just after COVID. And that's my local doctor, so I can't imagine going to one where I'm not registered. I think it turns to 100.
it's not a fancy dancy Samsung, but compared to what a Samsung does, compared to what this does, this is way cheaper. So
Yeah, but it's doing the right things for you and your health, and gives you more time to do other things like teach children, teach people how to advance their computer skills to their end goal. Awesome. So from the Navy to the Horizon, New Horizons, now you're partnering with Microsoft and meeting all new people like myself, beautiful people like myself. And where are you now and what are you doing with those skills?
So now I'm taking a step back, and I'm more or less acting as a help desk for people. And I guess I'm tending to do more meetups and assisting and helping people join. For example, I was at a meetup the other day and I met a lady and her name was, I think it was Xavier. And she's the head of another group similar to this, I believe. So I put her in contact with your
Judy.
leader, Judy.
Yes.
And so I haven't had a chat with her yet about that, but it seems hopefully that will make a good connection and maybe you could run similar paths or we can help each other out in some way.
Well, that's what it's about, eh?
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Sharing and helping others.
Yeah, and that's the kind of work you're doing now.
I guess that's what I'm doing more and more about. I have this little secret passion of getting free stuff off the internet and putting it all together, selling it, and then making donations.
Awesome. And even if it's just people that you're sharing who can do the same thing. That's amazing, David.
Like I said, I see a piece of wood, and I don't see a piece of wood, I see a table or a shelf or something I can make with it.
Yes, yes.
And people, you'll be surprised what people throw away. I mean, it's not that I go from door to door and ask for stuff, but it's a thing on the internet called Neighbourly, and often people just want to be rid of stuff.
Yeah.
And so if I think I'm able to do something with it, then I'll put it together and fix it up, and then onward sell it and give it and make donations that way. Because I like to give back, because lots of people have given me stuff or helped me along my way. So
That's what I can hear a lot of in your story. You started at the Navy, and that's giving back, right? As well as upskilling, and like you said, there are all different avenues you can take, like the canteen, the computer setting up there. What was it called? It was a timetable thing or something you were doing.
Teaching.
No, in the Navy.
I had it was a form of a typewriter.
Yes.
I could sort of code up. It didn't quite work out that well. And actually used a tape for the printing parts. So instead of having printer ink, that you had a little, what they call a dot matrix thing. It was actually a tape that you printed.
And is that what inspired you originally to get into IT?
One of the things, yeah. Because there was, you got to get a fancy-dancy printer of some sort. And as I was leaving, one of the guys that I did the buying and selling from said, you got to have this. I says, look, I can't find a use for it. Nobody wants it, and I'll sell it to you for cheap. Okay. I think it was like about $30 or something. It was worth about $150. And I said, okay, sure. And I tried to make it work, and it was okay. You could, for example, if you could print out a document, and you could push reprint, and it would reprint it. And it used the reels of tape, and you could get maybe about 20 documents out of each roll of tape. But it was archaic, but it was this first step, because you actually had a print screen that actually, as you typed, it would come up and tell you. So it was a beginning, but it was very unique, I suppose.
Yeah, that is. So it's just, I'm just still mind blown about how you joined the Navy and how you've ended up in this IT sector, but your main goal is still following you behind, which is giving back, as well as learning along the way, which is it's awesome. It's real aspiring to know that, especially for me, somebody young who's kind of started in the same
There was one
place.
group I went to. It was learning about in the IT world, and it was a presentation of one of the local community tech groups. The name escapes me. It begins with C. It's in town. It'll come to me. And so I went along to the evening, and there was a young lady who I'd met prior somewhere else, and she invited me along. I thought, okay, cool. And afterwards we started talking. I thought, okay, cool. And that she was going back to the States and everything, and she thanked me. I says, look, is it okay if I add you on my LinkedIn? And I says, yeah, sure. And says, yeah, well, you've inspired me so much, and I'd like you to be my mentor. I thought, oh my God, seriously? But that being said, though, I kind of understood why. We kept in contact for about 12 months, but she got married and her whole life changed, and that was fine. But it was just interesting, though, how being called a mentor was bizarre, to say the least. Because if anything, and you've also, one of my mentors, you've also interviewed, which was Warwick Gray.
Yes, so that would be how we came into CompTIA.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was because of Warwick that he inspired me. I bought my first computer software program off him, for example,
Wow.
which was Access, and the next day I bought CorelDRAW at a computer show. But he's always inspired me and helped me. He's always been my referee if I ever applied for any role in the IT world.
Yeah.
He's been very helpful, and I guess also his giving back has inspired me to do more, I guess, as well.
Yeah, yes.
Amazing how such a small world we are, that you've also interviewed him as you're interviewing me. So.
Yeah, and both of you are somewhat the same, able to share the resources that you have, even if it's human resource. Like Xavier, for example, and Warwick bringing us into the, inviting us to the meetings. And then and that way we were able to connect with other people that might be able to help us out down here. Yeah.
Cool.
So that is cool. So all this time, where did you leave time for yourself, and what are hobbies that you enjoy? Is that the computer scene? Is that your hobby, or do you have other hobbies like golf, fishing, drinking?
In the early days, drinking, was always fun because you were single. But as you get older and children, be more responsible.
Yes.
Yes.
So do you have a family?
I have 2 wonderful children. I have my daughter who works for Emirates cabin crew.
Oh, wow.
And she's just finished her time now, I think 17 years. And my son, who's a computer programmer, he works for a company called Atlassian, which is based in Australia, but he lives with his partner, who happens to be a lieutenant commander in the Navy still.
Oh, wow.
They've just had their first child, so my first grandchild, in Christchurch.
Yes.
Awesome.
Are you retiring soon? No, that was somebody.
That's a question mark.
That was somebody else. I remember somebody having grandchildren at the meeting, and they were talking
me.
about his 8 months,
It was
so
me.
many days before you retire.
Oh no, that wasn't me.
I know
No,
this guy had it. He had it.
I've actually passed the retiring age.
Yes.
But that being said, though, I don't think I'll ever retire because one's always working. Or define the word retire?
Yeah.
Does that mean that you stop working for professionally money, or is it the fact that you actually just stop working and you start playing? You know? I mean, I'll never stop working because it keeps me alive, it keeps my brain alive, it keeps my body alive. And as long as I can give back and do something for somebody, then I'll keep on doing it.
Yeah. Well, even a simple conversation like this is giving back, because, like, for me, I can hear all these goals where I can eventually do one thing, because that's exactly how I came into this. Started volunteering with the Māori Wardens. Next minute I was offered some paid work in riparian and planting, so I really enjoyed that.
There you go.
And then next minute I'm sitting in the office talking with everybody. So there's always ways you can upskill.
It's not always about what you do.
Yeah.
It's more about the framework of how you do it.
Yeah.
And the process. So, for example, where I mentioned before about clicking buttons on a computer, that's what I used to do at New Horizons. I teach people how to click buttons and to make things work. But I quickly realised, it's better to teach an end solution, make a document, or make a graphic, or make a website. That's the end goal. And once you define the end goal, then you can work backwards and all the things you need to do to make it happen. For example, if you need to make a soup, what you need to have in a soup, you need these ingredients. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
that's right.
So how do you put them all together? You've got to grow some, you've got to buy some, you might get some for free.
Yep. You need a pot.
And how do you cook it and how long do you do it for? But that's the nitty gritty, sure. But you still need to have the end goal, because there's not much point, I'm a cook.
Yeah.
What's the first thing people say? Well, what do you make?
Yes, that's
I'm an
right.
artist. What do you paint?
Yeah.
But how you create that mural, was it done with water paint?
Yes.
All sorts of paint? Did they even use paint? Did they use dyes? There's all sorts of things how you can do something.
Yeah, and that's it's funny that you say that. I did a podcast with a young guy. He came from America, and we were talking about he went for a walk around town centre, and these young boys, they just selling drugs on their bikes. But the question was, what is the end goal? Are they doing it for the end goal, or are they just doing it because they can? So there was a real it's just funny that you say that, because I'm sure there's an end goal, which is like getting food in the cupboard, which is what people struggle with a lot out here in this community. So there's a way of looking at them, and then there's a way of thinking, do you have an end goal? Can we help you out somehow? So, yes, I just found that...
I do firmly believe it is a basic right of all humanity to have a roof over your head and obviously have food in your mouth.
Yeah.
That kind of goes without saying, but for a lot of people, they do find it hard, and they shouldn't. That's just it. New Zealand, I'm sorry, it's great that we assist people overseas, but we need to look at our own back door first,
That's right.
more so. And it's sad, though, that even those that are struggling still give away themselves a lot, which is kind of, I can understand it to a degree, but they should really help each other first before they start
Helping others.
especially outside New Zealand.
Yes, yes.
That really...
Even
that's
myself.
political, so we won't go there.
Yeah, even myself though, I find that I do that a lot. I don't have much, but I see people with less, so why not just give a slice of my pie when I can have I'll give 10% and I'll keep my 90%. At least I know I'll be okay, and at least I'm not just keeping the 100%. Yeah. So that's an amazing journey you've been on, and amazing life. At least you've had time to make family in between of all of this wanting to give back and teaching.
Now, can I just share a story? You wouldn't believe it, but I believe in karma.
Yes.
I also believe that the more you give out, the more you receive back. Now, it's a hard concept to a lot of people, but you don't need to necessarily have the dollar.
Yeah.
But it's more about the richness of life,
Yeah.
or the people you meet is maybe more rewarding than any dollar can give. And I understood this, dare I say the word secret, about 50 years ago. And I found that the more I gave and the more I helped people, the more my life not only became easier and simpler, but was more rewarded in lots of ways. And so with those rewards came some responsibility. Obviously, I don't squander or anything like that. But I did found, though, that once you need something, you have to be quite specific. Or if you want to do something or you have an idea, be specific on what you want. And when you do that, just gently ask. Just throw it out there. 2 weeks ago, I was thinking about I should be writing a book, because a few other people have written books and I should write a book. I thought, I want to keep something simple. I would like it to be a bit more poetic and nice. Guess what? We're here.
Yeah.
And that to me, because it just dawned on me about 2 minutes ago, before I started telling the story, I thought, oh my God, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
So instead of me writing a book, I had the opportunity to actually share my story.
Yeah, well, podcasts are the new books these days. Nobody has time to sit and read a book. Well, there are those bookworms, but everyone's just living life. So it's better to just turn the radio on, listen to a podcast, and hear the conversation, rather than sitting down reading through and then trying to devour. What was he actually trying to say?
Like me sharing a story about how to click buttons, and you've got like a whole 3 days of how to click buttons, when, to be fair, you can condense it into a couple of hours. And
yeah, so you're in the right place, and I believe so am I. So this is amazing. And you did talk about North Shore, and I do remember you. Why not? I know it as a supermarket, but there's another. Am I on the right track?
yeah.
Yeah. So can you explain to us what Why Not is, and
So
what you're doing out at the North Shore?
The reason why, when I left the Navy, we were looking at getting, because everybody used to have a company name, and you need to have a business card. I wanted to put on a business card, you can put David. So I humped on hard about it, and my wife said something that struck a chord, and I thought, oh, I could use that. And my wife said, what do you mean? I says, well, I am a water sign. So let's keep something a bit more flavoursome local, and let's call it Y, W-A-I, and I'm ex-Navy, so not, K-N-O-T.
Yes.
So hence why the name Why Not kind of stuck. And I looked around, I looked in the phone books, because back in those days, you didn't have the big wide internet to search on things. I looked in the phone books and I looked in encyclopedias, and nothing was ever called Why Not, as in that spelling.
Yes.
So I thought, cool. So I thought, that's it. And this email thing, like websites. What do you need a website for? Everybody used to say back in the day of 95. And the internet was just starting to be sorted, I guess, in some way. And so just prior to that, I actually got an email and I put my website up there, and I didn't register it per se because New Zealand law says that as long as you can prove that you obviously got it before somebody else, and nobody had it. There were lots of Y names out there. There was a couple that was something or other not, but there was nothing called Why Not. So I thought, cool.
Yeah.
So then I've used that name as my own branding name. I used to be called Why Not PC Solutions, but I just shortened it to Why Not because then whatever I had do, like I'd had Why Not Creations, which was my planters and my wooden boxes and shelving I used to make directly. And my wife had Why Not RJ rubber stamps for making the stamps.
Yes, yes.
So we had lots of things, but at the end of the day, though, just so I figured, well, just have Why Not, and had the website, which I mainly use for the rubber stamps now. But Why Not.nz is just a face with a couple of links on it that says, "You got any IT problems? Come and talk."
Gives a buzz.
That's it. There's nothing fancy.
Yeah.
But it's surprising how many people do find it and send me an email because when they click on the link, I know which website it came from.
So it's all about putting your work out there in order for you to get work in return, you know.
Even if you do something small, though, just get a website. There's lots of free ones out there you can get just to start.
Because many people have all different
that's
skills.
the whole thing, just like the old Nike cliche.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. And it's all about just, everybody's got a skill. You just got to put it out there in order for people to know that you've got that skill. Otherwise, nobody knows.
And once you find your passion, follow it through.
Yeah. And
because if you enjoy it, it's never tiring, it's never boring, and it's never hard.
Yeah. And you can start as small as rubber stamps and then eventually move on to selling your, what would it call, like skills, like your software skills, like what you're doing as well. And furniture. How did you get into furniture after doing all of these things? Went from the Navy to IT to having a family and all in between. Did you just think, oh, I need a kitchen table?
Not necessarily I made a whole kitchen table. I'll refurbish a kitchen table. I'm actually, hoping my wife doesn't see this, but there's a little secret spot that I've actually got. I've got 3 tables I'm repairing slowly. I just pull them out from time to time, then I put them all back so she doesn't see them. Because I'm very fortunate. I have a reasonably large house and I can hide things in it. But I've never actually made a whole big table from scratch, but I've obviously repaired them. But I do like making boxes and making unique things. For example, selling the rubber stamps. I made display cases for them.
Awesome.
But when you've got lots of hundreds of little tiny little things, and you go to a craft show, for example, how do you get from A to B? And so I figured a way of making display cases that was clear on one side and it had a piece of wood on the other side that had a little shelf so you can easily get in and out of it, and also to carry it. So I figured a way, and I made about maybe 10 of them over the years, and it was fun. But people, could you make one for me? Okay, so I started making them for other people as well.
What a busy man.
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
And if it's fun, I'll do it. If it's not fun, I ain't going to do it. Simple as that.
And something's got to keep you busy while your children are away doing computer programs, and one's away in Emirates, flying all over, what's that country? Syria. Sudai. Come on. I'm from only this little corner of the world.
Oh, my God.
Saudi Arabia.
United Emirates. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to keep yourself busy because you've got this, big brain, and it's just always going.
Yeah, I've usually got I was talking to my wife the other day of like, why hasn't this been done yet? Well, you know me, I've usually got about 30 projects in my brain going at one time. So it's my brain, it's just nice that when you go to sleep at night, around about midnight, you go, okay, time to switch off.
Yeah.
And put your head down, put your arm out. Go on.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
usually it's still ticking, eh?
Otherwise, and you wake up in the morning and funny enough, as I wake up in the morning, it's the best time for my ideas because if you And if you understand how things work, if you go to sleep, ask yourself the question, I need to fix this. So when you wake up, you'll have the idea. And so, oh my goodness. And you write it down, or you go and actually get the item, you know, when you're half asleep, you go and get the item and you put it together, or you'll put it out just to remind you this is how something is going to work or something.
Like a to-do
Or
list.
even like if it's a computery thingy, just jump on the computer and just type something up, you know, just so you've got it there, just remind you. And you, of course, your Word or whatever's on auto-save, so
Yeah.
you don't need to save it, but yeah.
Just like having sticky notes and writing shopping lists and things down, getting it off. Oh, that's right, I need eggs tomorrow. We're going to have such and such for dinner. Same, right? Well, I want to firstly thank you again for coming in. Did you have any questions you wanted to ask me, by the way?
Very quick.
Oh, we can do a part 2, and we'll probably do it with Xavier or Warwick, because I'm sure there are many, many more things that you've done in between, but I know that you've only just wrapped it up. And we do want you to enjoy that beautiful soup while it's hot, and even top up your plate.
It was delicious, and it's still, even when it's cold, it's still nice.
Awesome. Well, that soup is here every day, you
So
fellas.
if you need your soup, you've got to come and do a podcast with Danielle.
Yeah, actually, that's what we're doing from now on. Before, I was just going to say the soup's available Monday to Friday, but you need to come in for a podcast. And just tell us about yourselves. Nothing too hairy or sherry. You don't need to share what you don't want to share. But the soup, even the soup itself, it all comes from Food Rescues. So, and we put it on every Monday, slow cooking. It carries on through the day. We just keep adding through the week. Friday, we give it away to some of the volunteers that come in, and we can see that, I think they're going to want some fresh soup. And usually our volunteers know it's there now, so they're like, can I have the soup this week? And it just saves them a meal for one night. You know, it's not a big help, but one night is a help to some of those who don't have any food. But yeah, it's amazing you coming in, hearing your story. I hope a lot of you. Viewers out there get to watch and, learn a little bit about how you can start off in one place, thinking that you're going to be doing one thing and then end up in a whole other place. But don't be afraid of the change that's about to happen. Just go into it, enjoy it, and we too might be in a big house where we can hide tables from our husbands. But sorry, David, your wife probably will see that part. So, but I'm sure you can find a new hiding spot around the house. Otherwise,
Although
I know
the house might eventually go on the market sometime over the next year or 2 years. My wife keeps on telling me we should have sold it by now, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, you use those.
We need to downsize because with the family.
We can swap. You want a 2-bedroom?
You never know. You never know.
No, but this is it's been cool. It's been amazing, and I'm sure you've got maybe some real estate friends can help you sell that your place. So, but yeah, I've had a fun time talking to you.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah.
And cheers, team, for those that are working hard. See, they're still there in the background. You don't see them, but they are there. In fact, why not say hello?
Hello.
Hello. There you go. See, just to make sure I'm not telling porkies.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have any questions you want to ask me, or?
No. I only ask questions to actually start the story.
Oh, cool. Well, that was
But
my
you've
job
told
today.
the story, so that's fun. It was sort of like funny when nobody asked a question, and when I'm at a meet-up group and I questions and answers, and Aucklanders, don't know why, because I used to work in South Island, it was never a problem, but in Auckland, they're in the seats and nobody wants to ask the first question, so I'm usually I'm the sort of guy that asks the question first and what's going on, or how did you do this, etc. And then that invokes other questions. But
Yes.
funny enough, yesterday people were last night people were asking questions first. I thought, wow, okay, good, I'll have to sit here.
Yeah. Well. You very are great at communication skills. Usually, I start the podcast, but today you just went ahead and took it off me, which is good because I was, like I said, I was a little bit nervous. I was hoping you were too, so then I could take my nerves away. But the way that you just started it just built me up. Like we were back in our first little meeting we were having up at Microsoft there. So thank you for making me feel comfortable. And then I kind of just jumped off your energy. So
My pleasure.
well done. Yeah. So we'll catch you around.
Okay.
For those of you who want to learn and need some help with starting up your websites and stuff, you heard where to look. Why not? Google them. Yeah.
Awesome.
Furniture, stamps,
Take